I am trying something new. Hello, everyone. I've never recorded myself creating in addition to putting my thoughts out there. I had videos where I've shown a little bit here and there about how things get made, how I make things. I just had to unwind a bit there because sorry about that. I miscalculated a few things and needed to literally unwind that up and start over from this section. So as you can see, it's part of a herringbone plate. What I'm working on now is a handle, 15-inch handle for a stock whip that I got commissioned to make. And, you know, normally I work to music, and oftentimes I do my best to sing along. But really, when I'm creating, I do a lot of processing and healing and thinking, and just, part of the reason I have crafted therapy. No, actually, I gotta go back more because this still isn't right. Live filming, y'all. Life ain't perfect. Neither is a project that is a one-stop shop. So that's there. Perfect. So for those of you who aren't familiar, might not be familiar with plating, it's similar to braiding, but I guess what is the difference? Braiding, you just braid around itself. Plating is maybe you braid around something. Maybe that's just my understanding of it, and that could be what I just tell myself. But what I'm doing is an under 5/7 herringbone plate here. You got 12 strands here. Here's 14. There's 7 over here. Wow, my math is off. I am sorry. This is a 28 plate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 7, 7, 7. This is, they're not 7, it's 6. Okay, now I just feel like I shouldn't upload this, but you know what, I'm going to, because this is what I do, is I typically think to myself, and not everything I think about is accurate. So there are 6 strands on this side of green, 6 strands on this side of this beautiful, beautiful, it's bronze brown type color. I don't know if the video does it justice, but 6 and 6. So 6 times 4, it's 24. Everyone, 24 plate, 24 strand plate here. And what I'm just doing is I'm going under 5/7 to create this pattern over a fiberglass core that's been wrapped in hockey tape for grip. The grip of this is 275 paracord. Anyway, this is not a build. This is not a how-to. The reason I decided to start filming myself make this is because I was just thinking about life, and part of the reason I, crafted therapy, or thought of that, is because creativity, creating, playing is just a way I help process things. It helps me to process life. And, sometimes I talk to myself, and sometimes when I do, I have some snippets of wisdom that I say out loud, and I'm like, wow, that's not that profound, but at the same time, I don't tend to think that way, right? Like, so here I am thinking about my life. I don't know if I just mentioned this or not, but laid off a couple years ago from a tech job while in the midst of separating from my partner of 17, 18 years. I can't remember at this point. And I was not in a good place. It's not a good place. And I know currently there are people struggling out there given the current political environment, and not just political in the United States, but, you know, everything going on in the world. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot to process right there. But, you know, you hear about these ICE raids that are going on right now, and you can't help but think, you know what, shit. I'd rather have my head on, you know, in the ground, not listening to the news, because the news is just depressing. You know, and I was like that for a while. I was like that and kind of still am to a point. But I have a beautiful 10-year-old son who's very interested in the goings on, not just in the city of San Francisco, but, you know, everywhere. He's wants to be informed. And I think that's great. I also think of it as a reminder to myself that it's important to be informed. And I forgot to tighten these, but I'll do that now, as you can see. But I'm feeling a lot better. Circumstances of my life have not really changed that much. I'm not employed. I'm looking, and I'm also enjoying the time I'm spending here doing commission pieces, whether it be woodworking or graphic design, networking, you know, any IT services I'm pretty much can do. Shout out there if you need any help, hit me up. But really, this is more out of my need to, I think, heal. And, you know, my mother recently passed away. And, you know, I wasn't very close with her. Grew up in a family, 6 kids, you know, 2 parents. We had a few dogs, we had a few cats throughout the years. And we weren't very close. My parents worked a lot. They were both doctors. And they also were not people who welcomed emotion, I want to say. A lot of things got swept under the rug. A lot of things got forgotten about or just not talked about. And I think it's important to talk about things. I think it's important to talk about hardships and difficulties and where one is now. And not just, you know, oh, I was super depressed to the point of, you know, I'll say it. I was contemplating ending my life, and I didn't. I didn't because I have a beautiful boy who breathes life into everything he sees and touches and learns about and wants to share and discuss. It's just so beautiful. And he literally, without knowing, and I hope that he doesn't really feel like it's a lot of burden to carry, but his existence in my life is the reason I'm here today. And, you know, I want to talk about it. I want to let people know that I'm not, you know, 100%. There are times that I struggle with what's going on in the world, with what's going on at home, with what's going on with just the day-to-day. That's not as frequent as it was in the past. You know, I got help. I was in therapy. I've been in therapy for a long time. And, you know, talk therapy is a great tool. It's a great service for people who are open to truly healing. Yes, it's a process. Yes, it takes time out of life. Yes, it's not all fun and you know, unless you're ready to do the work, you're not going to benefit from it. Actually, let me take that back. You just need to be willing to show up, you know, and be open to it. And doing the work can sometimes look like, you know, being confused for a time, and just knowing you can be confused and have that be okay. But the important thing is to have, I think, stories, community around shared experiences. And I want to be sure as all hell to contribute anything, any way I can to people who are dealing with, you know, depression or anxiety or, you know, heartbreak or anything, where life can just be overwhelming, especially now. You know, I'm thinking about having my child, who's a 10, just today finishing up his 4th year of school, and be a 5th grader next year. How he's growing up in a world, in an environment that's such a bubble. You know, in San Francisco, we live in such a bubble. And I'm fortunate for that, and I'm grateful for that, and that's why I'm here. But I do acknowledge, and I remind him, I don't say, Theo, you're living in a bubble. I remind him that we are fortunate to be in San Francisco, and we are fortunate enough to have certain, you know, rights and abilities to continue to live here. You know, I'm blabbing, I know this, and again, this is my first, I gotta figure out how to not hit this stand. This is my first upload. I don't think it's gonna do much. I don't really care. Again, it's not about making the whip here today. I really just was in my thoughts and just want to put out there that it's okay to not present as put together, as you know, somebody who's got, you know, doesn't show emotion, who doesn't ask for help. Like, ask for help. Don't even ask for it in a way where you say, like, you need help. You can ask just to, like, you know, be around people and just say, hey, you know, I'm having a hard time right now, and it would be really helpful for me to be around the people who I consider close friends, or not even close friends, right? Not everybody has. Sorry, I got tighten that more. Somebody who they can rely on. You know, for a while I was... Okay, hold on. Somebody's calling me.